Welcome to Be the Good with Kate, the show where guests leave you inspired to uncover your passions and discover tangible ways to make a difference along the way. I'm your host, Kate Chericello-Tente, and here I talk to individuals who are doing just that. Individuals from all walks of life and industries following their passions and making the world a better place while they do. With guests hailing from Bali to Utah, Florida to Japan, and just about everywhere in between, something I love about human connection and inspiration is how you certainly don't need to be from the same place or a similar background to get so much out of hearing from a person. In fact, I think it is better that way. We notice how we as humans are so similar in so many ways, and how each of us has so much power to make a difference in our own lives and the lives of others. I hope you're inspired here to start, restart, or continue your journey of finding your passions and helping others along the way. I love a text saying, "This made me think of you today." If there is someone in your life who could use today's story, click share and send their way. And thank you for helping to inspire more people. Now onto this week's episode. Let's spread a little more goodness in the world. Welcome back to Be the Good with Kate. Today, I'm pleased to introduce you to Angela Gillmeister. She is a custom vacation designer, and she is the founder of Wild Hair Travels. She spent 12 years as a geographer in the corporate world, and she realized that she had been living her life for her next vacation. So now she gets to help others. She also has a podcast called Happy Women Travel More, sharing a unique view on following passions and building a life you love, where travel plays a role in enhancing happiness rather than being put on a pedestal as the bringer of happiness. And I just love how she words that. So Angela, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much, Kate. I am so happy to be joining you today.
This is a treat for me too. And I think the most important question I need to start with is, I noticed in your bio something about two-stepping in Texas.
Yes. I'm a born and raised Texan. I love some good old Texas country music. And we have a really unique culture here in Texas with these old Texas dance halls. And there's just nothing quite like them. I've even visited other states in the US in search of these dance halls, and you can't quite find the same culture. So big passion of mine.
I love it. That sounds right up my alley. I'm going to have to check it out on my next visit to Texas. But in all seriousness, Angela, I gave a little bit about who you are and what you do, but please share more.
Yeah, you did a great summary. Like you mentioned, I'm a custom vacation designer. What that means is I offer very high touch vacation planning services through my business, Wild Hair Travels. And so kind of like a deeper dive into what led me to doing that is I'm just really highly curious about how travel plays a role in, our happiness and fulfillment. My personal journey, as you kind of alluded to, it taught me that, obviously no one's saying don't travel. Like, travel's amazing. It gives you super memorable life moments. It can help you grow as a person. It can help us enhance our relationships. But we also can't forget about our regular old lives too, which is kind of what I did. Like, pretty much the entirety of my 20s, I would say I was not super happy, but I was traveling a ton. And of course I was happy when I was on vacation. So, I had so many amazing travel adventures I would never change for the world, but I've just been so curious about this work of life fulfillment, happiness. That's a really big deal, really big conversation, but also for people like myself who have a huge passion for travel, really understanding where does travel fit in to this whole happiness and fulfillment goal. And so that is kind of what gives me the fire to do what I do. On my podcast, I really want to inspire anyone who listens to follow their travel dreams now, instead of delaying because of our careers and our kids and everything else we have going on, because there's always something. I mean, I know you have a little one, I'm currently balancing my business with stay-at-home mom life to a busy 3-year-old son. I also have 4 very needy fur babies. And so that caretaker role, it makes it really challenging to be able to travel. And I know I've definitely had seasons where my career was the thing that kind of held me back, or seasons where my bank account wasn't exactly screaming let's take a vacation, And so I think, it's natural for our seasons of life to change. And with every season, there's going to be something that presents itself that tries to, kind of make it not as easy to take those vacations. So, for women or anyone who has a desire to travel more, I just want to help them see how possible it is, even though we are responsible for so many things at work and life. But yeah, on an like just like a tangible level, what I do with my business is I work one-on-one with women to design just highly personalized vacations for you and your people, or solo trips as well. Love when women come to me for those. um, but yeah, I always like to say I'm not your grandma's travel agent. So I'm not here to just like ship you off on a tour group or try to push the big resorts. I really got to know clients and who they are as a person. What are they envisioning with their vacation? What do they need right now? What's their travel style? So really human service that I bring through all her travels.
I love that, at least I think that when you hear a travel agent or a travel planner and those sorts of words, people just think, oh, someone who gets paid to help people travel, like, that's it. But what I love is that you're so focused on the why we're traveling and how it's benefiting us. And I think that's really cool. It sounds like to me, it's not just, oh, you should go to fill in the blank, Spain, because it's pretty. It sounds much more like, okay, these are the reasons why I think this place would fit with you. Is that the case?
Absolutely. Yeah, you just said that so well. Like there's so much more than just like, oh, this has been on my list, or my sister-in-law went here, that looked pretty, let me go there. I mean, there's like not every place is for everyone. There's also so many different compelling reasons to travel, connect with history, connect with people, connect with the modern parts, or to do some soul searching, like so much. And so, yeah, just a lot more exploring. I really like promote like exploring more of what's your why. And every trip can be different. You can kind of have this broader vision of like, for my life's travel, this is what I want. Like me, I'm a more of an adventurer. I love nature and wildlife. I love to really get out into the wild spaces. That's kind of like big picture. But sometimes I do need that relaxing trip where I go and hole up in a cabin or something and just do nothing. And I don't go adventuring. So it's important to kind of like look at the big picture, like the macro and the micro of like, what can this vacation do for me too? Like, can it bring me back to life in some way?
How do you help people with the overwhelm? That, this overwhelm is a word that I didn't foresee happening a lot on this podcast, but somehow it comes up in various industries in various ways all the time. Yeah. And it just came into my mind now too, of when people want to travel, they do get overwhelmed. How do you help people through that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that is the number one reason that women come to work with me is they are usually overwhelmed by all of the pieces that it would take to plan the vacation. Maybe sometimes it's because they've never been there before. It's just like an unknown, but also, a lot of vacations are just kind of highly complex, like a multi-leg European trip with trains, planes, ferries, and, more planes. Like, that's just like a lot to piece together. And especially I'm just seeing more of a trend with I would say 50s and below wanting more independent experiences where you don't join in with a tour group. And that's where the overwhelm sets in, because every little piece you have to go and research and fit together and book and make sure it all flows well. And so that's what I handle. Like I literally am like, I treat my clients' vacations as if they were my own. Like, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm the obsessive triple checker, sometimes on things. And yeah, that's what people lean on me for, is primarily the overwhelm. Also, some women are just tired of being the designated vacation planner because they have been for so long. And they're like, you know what? I'd like for someone else to do it for a change. I'm capable, but it would be nice not to have to.
Yeah. It takes a lot of hours and now we are blessed and cursed with everything online where we can read 10,000 reviews, which I am the queen of reading every single review before I book something. But it's like, you're spending all this money, you're spending all this time, and you've never been to the place. You want to make sure that you've done your research, and that's a lot. So I can only imagine that what you see there. But I want to know how, of all the areas of travel that you decided, any kind of job within the travel world, why did you pick this one?
Oh, great question. Well, you kind of mentioned I have a background. I had a corporate career of 12 years of being a geographer. So I've always had that natural, view of the world. My major was in international relations. I knew very world focused.
Tell us what a geographer does real quick.
Oh yeah. So I was basically a modern day map maker slash cartographer for 12 years. I primarily
Amazing.
spent my time in the civil engineering world. So not super, travel glamorous, more of a like real world problem solving infrastructure map making, but still I spent my days on maps all day
Cool.
for years. And so I've just always had this kind of geographer's mindset when it comes to planning and timelining. And it has just lended itself to like me being kind of naturally skilled at, planning trips. And I've also had a ton of travel experience myself. But the other part of this is just the human part. I
Mhm.
just have always been a personality geek. I really love getting to know people. And I think that's almost more important than anything is like,
Uh-huh.
really listening, getting to know what your people want. And also, it's not just one person most of the time. You've got these
Uh-huh.
unique personalities in the group that maybe want a different kind of pace or they have different interests and how to like compromise and blend that together. And kind of be that third party advocate for your
Mm.
travel group to help everyone have the best time they can have. So yeah, I think it's a blend of like geography, skills, love, obviously I have a passion for travel and then just that curiosity towards people and that human, wanting to understand
Yeah.
the little nuances of someone's personality and their travel style.
Oh, that's great. And I can tell you've got that personality for it. Did you always want to run your own business or did you consider joining another business?
No, I did not grow up with any type of like entrepreneur role model. That wasn't even like on my radar ever. And then I think just one day when I was in my corporate job, I just felt the need of creating something for myself. That's kind of what this sparked from. And my husband actually put it in my head and he's like, you could plan vacations for people. I was like, no one's going to pay me to do that. And then as soon as I said that, I was like, wait, maybe I could. And so I just kind of started small. It started as a side hustle, and while I was still working full time, and yeah, so it was kind of a fake it till you make it on the business side of things of like, okay, we're going to run a business now and we're going to figure this out as we go and websites and all of the fun behind the scenes stuff that you know nothing about when you start out.
Right. I'm so glad you said that too. That's something that, again, comes up with so many people that I talk to. It's that they don't set out being like, oh, this is exactly what I'm going to do. And I have all the skills in line to make it
Yeah.
happen. It's so much of, I have this passion and I see what I can do. And then we work on how it evolves along the way and we learn along the way. So kudos to you. You made it
Yeah.
happen. It's something I love to ask everybody. What is most surprising about where you are in life now?
Wow. I mean, I think everything is surprising about where
That's
I'm in life now. Like just kind of growing up with the mindset of like, you get a job, you make the money, you have, you work for someone else. And even the other day, with the flexibility I now have with my business, the ability to stay home with my son. I remember thinking in my early 20s, like seeing people out in the middle of the day and thinking, don't they work? What are they doing? Don't they work? Like, don't they have a job? It just didn't even occur to me that you could go a different path
Mm.
and that something like that, that's even a possibility. And I will say, it took me a long time to fully leap and take the business full time. I had a very nice little exit plan from corporate. And I kept being like, let's push this a little bit further on. And then one day I said, nope, the time is now. The time is now to do it. So that also surprised me at how quick I finally just said, no, you're never going to be fully 100% comfortable and ready, but you're ready.
That's key. I just like everybody sink in for a second with that. You will never feel like you are fully ready, but you've got to take the steps. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm curious, I'm sure everyone asks you what is your favorite place to visit. So I'm not going to ask you that question. I'm going to ask you what has been your favorite vacation so far with your son involved? You mentioned you have a 3-year-old. What's been your
Yeah.
favorite experience traveling with him?
Well, I haven't taken him abroad yet, and I actually have kind of in my head I'm thinking we will delay that till he's a little bit older for personal reasons.
Yeah.
But we we have taken him to Montana, which is a family favorite of ours. Well, my husband and I, we started a tradition of going for our anniversary every year up towards the mountains, like
Oh,
Montana,
nice.
Wyoming, that kind of area. Montana's kind of stuck where we're visiting it more and more, different
Okay.
parts of the state. And we were like, okay, I guess he can join with us for our anniversary trip. And seeing, so I think, how old is your son now?
He's 14 months.
Yeah, so we took him at 15 months on this
Okay.
trip. So this was his first airplane trip.
Uh,
And and it was just the best, cutest age to take him somewhere like that. And every experience we had, I will say we had this pretty like traumatic experience where he vomited when we were on a hike, and it was like just we were like 2 miles out, but it ended up
oh,
being no problem. But like, so it was a lot of like memorable things that like I felt like a rite of passage as a parent, like getting on an airplane with him,
yeah.
packing all the things, having to rent baby gear while we were
Yeah.
there. And then also like we're going hiking, we're doing the things we normally do. Oh, but now we've got this kid that's vomiting in the middle of the hike. And what do we do? We didn't even bring any napkins. And so, but then we also had a lot of really peaceful times together too, and just really simple times next to the river and next to a lake. And so, yeah, just our family, we love to be in nature. And so it's a perfect place for us. And I think it was a very perfect first trip as well. So that'll stick in my mind forever.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. It is the last trip we took. I had to keep reminding myself because it was hard, but it was so worth it. And that reminder was exactly what I needed. Just like it's totally worth it. And I'm so glad we're here. It's just going to be different than when you do just go somewhere, just the
Different.
two of you. Yeah.
Different. Yeah. And I am team, mom, take the trips with your kids and take them without, because
Yeah.
there's a time and place for both. It's like
Yeah.
so refreshing. My husband and I took a trip by ourselves the next year, and it was like the best trip ever. Like just that space, we got to relax, and we didn't realize how much we really need at that time. So having the contrast of both, so good.
Yes. Oh, excellent. I think that's also, you've been putting out so many great just like pieces of advice too of that having both is wonderful. And Angela, something I like to ask people is just why do you feel it important to share these stories of people following their passions and making these things happen and doing good along the way? Why is it important that we get these stories in front of more eyes and ears?
I seriously love what you're doing, Kate, with this. But, for me, it's like a broad, this broader, like society has just conditioned us a certain way that this is a certain path you take. So we're like, I thought, like, didn't even cross my mind. And fortunately, I stumbled upon some entrepreneur along the way that then led me to someone else. And then podcasts are a thing. Okay, now I can start to learn over here. And my mind was open to the possibility that there is a way, but I still have so many people in my family, my, close friends that they don't even recognize that it's a possibility for them. Now, granted, it doesn't have to be a desire for everyone. This is, there's trade-offs to every path you take, but just the fact that you can live a life following something you actually want to do and make it work for you, and without that sounding all frou-frou, like yay, rah, rah, like it's actually possible. Like there are people doing it, and it's not just these nice quotes you see online and you scroll by, oh, that's nice. But then there's no action behind it. So for me, just, all these examples that I've encountered along the way, and even now, now that I'm doing it, I still need examples.
Yeah.
I still to keep going and to be reminded that there's others following, their passions and doing something so unique over here that no one else is. It's just so helpful to continue to instill that confidence to keep going. Because I definitely had a low confidence level starting out. And so,
Thank you. Yes, the more we realize that there are other people who are doing these sometimes seemingly crazy things, and in all industries, from medical to travel to nonprofit to environment and everything else, it is possible. So thank you for that vote of confidence to all the listeners. And
yeah.
Angela, where can people find you and follow you?
Well, I would say best place, especially, as a podcast listener, come and check out my podcast, Happy Women Travel More. So lots of content about how to live a happier life and also how to travel more. We have a good blend of just like inspirational pep talks, but I also have a lot of practical, like destination feature episodes, travel advice, stuff like that as well. And as far as social media, I hang out over on Instagram, not so much currently, but life gets busy sometimes. At handle Wild Hair Travels. And there's also a Facebook group for the podcast community called Happy Women Travel More as well.
Excellent, Angela. Thank you so much for being here today. And I look forward to just following your travels too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kate.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found this helpful, a 5-star review, like, or comment means the world to me. And if you found insight in this episode, chances are someone else will too. Share with a friend to give them a boost today. Until next time, I'm Kate Cherichello-Tente, and this was Be the Good with Kate.